Narrated by Sa'id bin Jubair. I said to Ibn Abbas, Nauf al-Bakali claims that Moses, the companion of Khadir, was not the Moses of Bani Israel, but he was another Moses. Ibn Abbas remarked that the enemy of Allah, Nauf, was a liar. Narrated by Abu Musa. A man came to the Prophet and asked, O Allah's apostle, what kind of fighting is in Allah's cause? I ask this. For some of us fight because of being enraged and angry, and some for the sake of his pride and haughtiness. The Prophet raised his head, as the questioner was standing, and said, He who fights so that Allah's word, Islam, should be superior, then he fights in Allah's cause. Narrated by Abdullah bin Amr. I saw the Prophet near the Jamra, and the people were asking him questions about religious problems. A man asked, O Allah's apostle, I have slaughtered the hadi, animal, before doing the Rami. The Prophet replied, Do the Rami now, and there is no harm. Another person asked, O Allah's apostle, I got my head shaved before slaughtering the animal. The Prophet replied, Do the slaughtering now, and there is no harm. So on that day, when the Prophet was asked about anything as regards the ceremonies of Hajj performed before or after its due time, his reply was, Do it now, and there is no harm. Narrated by Abdullah. While I was going with the Prophet through the ruins of Medina, and he was reclining on a date palm leaf stalk, some Jews passed by. Some of them said to the others, Ask him, the Prophet, about the Spirit. Some of them said that they should not ask him that question, as he might give a reply which would displease them. But some of them insisted on asking, and so one of them stood up and asked, O Abul Qasim, what is the Spirit? The Prophet remained quiet. I thought he was being inspired divinely, so I stayed till that state of the Prophet, while being inspired, was over. The Prophet then said, And they ask you, O Muhammad, concerning the Spirit. Say, The Spirit, its knowledge is with my Lord, and of knowledge you, mankind, have been given only a little. Narrated by Aswad. Ibn Az-Zubayr said to me, Aisha used to tell you secretly a number of things. What did she tell you about the Kaaba? I replied, She told me that once the Prophet said, O Aisha, had not your people been still close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, infidelity, I would have dismantled the Kaaba and would have made 2 doors in it, one for entrance and the other for exit. Later on, Ibn Az-Zubayr did the same. Narrated by Anas bin Malik. Once Mu'ad was along with Allah's apostle as a companion rider. Allah's apostle said, O Mu'ad bin Jabal. Mu'ad replied, Laba'ik and Sadaik, O Allah's apostle. Again the Prophet said, O Mu'ad. Mu'ad said thrice, Laba'ik and Sadaik, O Allah's apostle. Allah's apostle said, There is none who testifies sincerely that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is his apostle, except that Allah will save him from the hellfire. Mu'ad said, O Allah's apostle, should I not inform the people about it so that they may have glad tidings? He replied, When the people hear about it, they will solely depend on it. Then Mu'ad narrated the above-mentioned hadith just before his death, being afraid of committing sin by not telling the knowledge. Narrated by Anas. I was informed that the Prophet had said to Mu'ad, Whosoever will meet Allah without associating anything in worship with him will go to paradise. Mu'ad asked the Prophet, Should I not inform the people of this good news? The Prophet replied, No, I am afraid, lest they should depend upon it. Absolutely. Narrated by Salama. Sulaim came to Allah's apostle and said, Verily, Allah is not shy of telling you the truth. Is it necessary for a woman to take a bath after she has a wet dream, nocturnal sexual discharge? The Prophet replied, Yes, if she notices a discharge. Salama then covered her face and asked, O Allah's apostle, does a woman get a discharge? He replied, "Yes, let your right hand be in dust," an Arabic expression you say to a person when you contradict his statement, meaning you will not achieve goodness, and that is why the son resembles his mother. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Once Allah's apostle said, "Amongst the trees there is a tree, the leaves of which do not fall and is like a Muslim. Tell me the name of that tree." Everybody started thinking about the trees of the desert areas, and I thought of the date palm tree but felt shy to answer. The others asked, "O Allah's apostle, inform us of it." He replied, "It is the date palm tree." I told my father what had come to my mind, and on that he said, "Had you said it, I would have preferred it to such and such a thing that I might possess."